The Force, if you were unaware, it's officially female. The Force is female. Feminism is the future of Star Wars. And we have not heard from the director of this upcoming Rey movie in a while, after her original controversy saying she enjoys making men feel uncomfortable.
I think I have that.
I would like to remind you all of who this woman is. Her name is Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. She is set to direct the movie about Rey. And that was called into question for a while, but it looks like she is still employed by Disney. So let's take a look.
Are we going to rewatch that
original clip?
Okay, yeah, this is a reminder of this clip because
in case you forgot her ridiculousness.
This is a replay, but we just thought we'd give you a refresher. Here we go.
What is the balance of activating a force for change?
Stupidest question
But
I've ever heard, by the way.
I love the question.
His question is almost worse than her answer.
They don't actually ask anything.
Yeah.
It's literally designed so that creative writing majors can just go to town.
No, this is the Women's Summit.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate Women's Summit.
Remember, it says women in the world. Remember, guys, I am correct when I tell you that no matter what time of day, no matter what time of year, no matter when, there is always a women's summit going on somewhere.
To permeate that patriarchy, that power structure.
Where's Taylor
and is
Swift
that
in the
a part
neighbor?
of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. Not you, just not you. Not you.
Point taken, point taken.
But, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable, because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations, that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection. And then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe.
Why do I need to change?
Because you're white and a male.
Okay.
And you're also
Okay.
straight, not to mention. Okay, so clearly this woman has been put in charge of the next Star Wars film. It's a big role to fill, and her primary goal is to make men uncomfortable. Just like the out of context Trevor Noah interview Amanda Stenberg did recently, or that was like circulating recently.
From 2018.
From years ago, where she said the goal was white people crying. White people crying was the goal. We're not saying that this is a press interview about Star Wars, but this circulated to show the type of people who are being hired in Lucasfilm. It's not looking good for them. Okay, so recently Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy did an interview with Variety because she is promoting some other project of hers. She's mainly a documentarian. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really have much experience directing anything fictional besides a few Miss Marvel episodes.
The biggest question that I have with most of this stuff is, like, directors should have a body of work that operates on the level of what they're being given a project for. Right? It's one of my biggest criticisms of Marvel, right? Is like
Nia DaCosta.
They hire plenty of. She's doing the new 28 Days Later. Like they've hired. I have a list over there of like the bigger name directors that they have hired, but a lot of them are ones who come out of small independent films because they know that the studio can control them. But this doesn't even seem like that.
No, but
this doesn't seem like it's designed to control the director. It's just designed to upset the public.
Right. Her being inexperienced as a director would be one thing.
Of this size.
If it weren't for the fact that she is an insufferable, ideologically charged person. Yeah. But those things together really doesn't sit right with the fans. But this interview with Variety reads, Obaid-Chinoy understands vulnerability. And they listed a bunch of these projects she's done. She has done films following Pakistani women who were victims of acid attacks, a 19-year-old woman who survived an honor-killing attempt.
Okay, here's the thing.
The lives of suicide bombers, Taliban members, transgender Muslims, and the creator of the wrap dress.
Okay. If we're talking about documentary films that are about topics like that, then her quote is perfectly fine, I guess, because she's speaking to specific men that are involved in those films but that's not what this is. It's a blanket statement that was taken to be the reason to hire her for something that has nothing to do with such serious fodder.
But in a second, when I get further into her interview, you guys are going to understand that she's doubling down on that message in the context of Star Wars.
She spoke with Variety.
She said, I tell stories about people who are marginalized or misunderstood, like female Jedi. I'm determined to make movies that help people see others in a different light and maybe understand them better. That's how you build bridges. So here's her full quote about Star Wars. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's highest profile gig will see her putting her imprint on a galaxy far, far away. She will direct a Star Wars film centered on Rey Skywalker as she leads the Jedi Academy. She says, the story that interests me most is in Rey's journey as a female Jedi. That's how I can best bring my experiences to it. As the first woman and first person of color to direct a Star Wars movie, she has been subjected to the toxic side of the franchise's fandom. Right-wing critics denounced her hire as an example of wokeism and threatened to boycott the film after earlier remarks she made about the goal of her art being to make men uncomfortable, which were recirculated out of context. She is diplomatic when I ask her about the criticism her selection received in some corners of the internet. They always say that, corners of the internet. The dark side. And here's what she said. The greatest thing about Star Wars is that everyone has a personal connection to it. Everyone is passionate about it. And throughout the fandom, people have clear ideas about who should direct and what the stories should be about. I'm just drowning out those voices until I'm done. As a storyteller, I'm focused on drawing new moviegoers into the cinema and bringing a sense of nostalgia that will appeal to older fans of the series.
I mean, I don't see anything in her mission statement that leans into nostalgia or wanting to bring people into something that is as generally fun as Star Wars is to the public, what it used to be.
With the state of Star Wars now and how many people have given up on it, your message should be, my aim as a storyteller in this job that they're paying me for is to win back a lot of goodwill from the fans that we have lost.
To reinvigorate the audience.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to bring in new Star Wars fans with whatever you have cooking right now.
That's the myth, right? The myth is that she believes that there is some generic new audience that hasn't yet found their love of Star Wars. That's not going to happen.
And they just happen to be queer, POC, women of color.
There is a reason. There's
Z.
many reasons why movies like Furiosa, despite being a good movie, didn't do as well at the box office as Inside Out 2, because the audience that they're courting, that they believe is this phantom audience, is this audience of women that will come out for films that are not generally that didn't used to be generally marketed to them back in the day. Well, that's not what this is. And that's not going to happen.
You said that the Rey movie was actually not on the slate for a minute.
For a period of time, they had removed it from the slate. I'm assuming that given this interview now, that it is now back on the slate.
Right.
But the point is that you're not going to pull in this new audience. I can tell you right now that even if this movie makes $1 billion, it will make $1 billion because in the audience will skew male.
I mean, that's what you need to realize is, you're trying to get a majority male fan base to watch this movie, and you keep hiring annoying, radical, feminists, lesbians.
My guess is it would end up making money.
This.
It would end up making money similar to the anthology films like Rogue One and the Solo film. In Solo, if I remember correctly, actually ended up losing money at the box office given its high production costs and middling returns. So
Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, she is set to direct this Rey movie, but did we go over who wrote the script?
No, I don't know.
Or is it a big
big
committee of people?
I imagine that it's a committee of people.
Probably a committee of people. And as for The Acolyte, the more recent failure of Disney Star Wars, they are also going through it right now.
It has fallen to 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It just can it possibly get any worse? I mean, I assume that by the end of the series, it's going to be lower than that.
Yep.
record breaking. They are trailblazing in failure right now. You also said that they seem to have unequal pay. They're perpetuating a gender wage gap.
I found this article from Forbes. Because of rules regarding filming in the UK, they were forced to give these facts out to the public.
Yeah, they said The Acolyte isn't actually a force for equality, despite featuring a female-centric cast. It says just 30% of the 695 employees were female, and across the entire workforce, women's average hourly pay on The Acolyte was 19.4% lower than men's.
You know what it is, guys? Those men, they'll walk away if the pay isn't good. The ladies aren't doing that.
Yeah, just supremely ironic. If you think about it. And I just realized today that one of the main characters, Rebecca Henderson, is an EPO hire because she's Leslie Headland's wife.
Yep, been married since 2016.
I had no idea that was the case. I know that she's a well-known actress, so you said there is precedent for it, but that is just so funny to me.
Yeah.
Because didn't James Gunn get in trouble for doing the same thing?
I mean, not in trouble. What's his wife's name? I forget. But yes, she was in the Suicide. So she was in the Suicide Squad, and then she was in Peacemaker, and she's like one of the few that has been kept for despite the fact that they were rebooting the universe. Magically, his wife has decided to keep her on the projects. Funny how that works. I mean, to be fair, he's kept the Amanda Waller as well, but there's precedent there.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's some of the numbers. It says spending isn't the only disclosure the UK government requires from studios when you film in the country. Any employer with a headcount of 250 people or more, excluding the staff or agencies on the books, is also forced to disclose the difference in pay between men and women on their payroll. It says The Acolyte was 19.4% less men received. Oh wait, it says was 19.4% less than men received, but it was also 13.5% lower when taking the middle number if hourly pay is ranked from highest to lowest. What's more is that although men outnumber women in the bottom and in the two middle hourly pay bands, 53% of the employees in the highest hourly pay band were also male. So I'm assuming that would be what? I don't know if producers would be included in that, but clearly, I mean, the only Master Soul is the only real major male actor on the cast.
Well, because they refuse to show any men at the forefront of any of these projects. They definitely, if they're a man, cannot be white.
No.
Or English speaking.
Unless they're a
matter.
bad guy.
They cannot be white. I mean, honestly, the white men weren't even villains. They were just side characters for like 2 seconds that happened to be criminals or doofuses.
Yeah.
So that's just absolutely, like, white men are persona non grata in Star Wars. It's been that way for a while now, but watching The Acolyte, it's the most extreme example of that so far.
Well, I mean, and that rings false to people too.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get here unless it's on purpose, and it's uncouth to say that, but we know that it's true.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't believe that Amanda Stenberg is oppressed in any way, shape, or form.
No. I mean, she's clearly been oppressed in the sense that she never got dancing lessons, that is for sure. But other than that,
the look on her face says oppressed.
Very much so. It's weird to me because the sad thing is, look, if you follow what's going on in the discourse online, it really has become a weirdly political thing where it's considered a political take to not like this. But if you read this Forbes article, and I do recommend everyone go and check it out, they show plenty of the actual mainstream outlets that had pointed criticism of the show. You're not accusing them of being political pundits for the right.
But they're still going to blame the Rotten Tomatoes score on review bombing and racism every single time.
Maybe it's because nobody can see anything because it's permanently dusk on set and you can't actually understand what's going on.
Every time that we try to make a thumbnail for the channel,
she's like, "Could you brighten
still
it?"
From The Acolyte, it's dark and gray and boring and depressing, and it looks like an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. Like, it doesn't look like Star Wars. It definitely doesn't feel like Star Wars. And it's not for Star Wars fans, so we can just stop pretending collectively that it is.
I wonder how much of that budget went to Carrie-Anne Moss. She'd have cost a fortune.
I didn't even realize that she was in there for a whole nother episode, but so past the initial scene.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they probably threw a lot of money at
the
her. The
price tag on this show ain't it.
No, $180 million for something, again, that's flat and boring looking.
Not to mention whatever they use to market the show. It's probably over 200 million at the end of the day.
All right, let us know down below what you think about Star Wars right now. I'm sure you guys
Aren't
are all
you so
loving
excited to watch it tonight?
They are.
Brand new episode. Get your popcorn ready.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.